Namaste everyone. Welcome to Visionary First Step YouTube channel. And today I am going to explain the topic morphology of flowering plants. And first we are going to look at the 2025 NEET syllabus, and then we'll study in detail about the topic morphology of flowering plant. Now, without any further delay, let's get started. Just observe the syllabus. They included morphology and modification. Now, when you look at the NCERT textbook, modification part of the topic got deleted. In new NCERT, they only retained structure of stem, structure of root and structure of leaves. The modification part got deleted, but they added in the NEET syllabus. So in this video, I am going to explain each and every type of modifications observed in root, stem and leaf. Another thing, so here they have mentioned tissues, anatomy and function of the different parts of the flowering plants that we'll study in the next chapter, that is anatomy of flowering plants. Then root, stem, leaf, inflorescence. Here they have mentioned Cymose and Racemose inflorescence. Of course, in the last part here they have mentioned to be dealt along with the relevant practicals of the practical syllabus. So in this topic, I try to cover what and all you will study in practical also, because that is included in the NEET syllabus. In inflorescence, actually in your textbook they have just mentioned Cymose inflorescence and Racemose inflorescence. Instead, I will take some of the inflorescence examples from practical to explain the type of inflorescence in this topic. That is another thing. Okay. Then in textbook, NCERT textbook, they have mentioned only about Solanaceae family, but here I am going to explain all the 5 other families that include Malvaceae, Cruciferae, Leguminaceae, Compositae and Graminae. So with this brief introduction towards 2025 NEET syllabus, without any further delay, we'll continue. Morphology of flowering plant. We'll try to understand what he is trying to explain in the name of the topic. Morphology in the sense external character. Flowering plant means angiosperms. So in this topic, whatever we will study, that is related to angiosperms. Now, morphology includes a morphology of root, morphology of stem, morphology of inflorescence, flower, fruit, seeds. So these are all externally appearing parts, and it is not the same in all the plants, and it differs from plant to plant and differs from family to family and genera and species and variety. So here we will have an idea what and all the technical terms we are going to describe for a morphological character, and same technical character terms are used in describing the families at the end of the topic. Now here one picture is given. Please observe this picture. This is mustard plant. Mustard plant is a best example for dicot plant. You know the characteristic feature of dicot plant is it produces 2 cotyledons in the seed and leaves shows reticulate venation. And if you observe the root system, here primary root, secondary root and tertiary roots are observed. So this is the typical dicotyledonous plant. Now first part of this topic we are going to discuss about the root. Now roots are meant for anchorage. Any plant which is firmly adhered to soil with the help of roots. Now roots are positively geotrophic, in the sense root they grow towards the soil. Okay. Now if you observe this dicot root, there will be a primary root that we call it as mother root, and from that mother root you observe secondary roots and secondary roots, they give rise to tertiary roots. Remember, most of the time root originates from the radicle. Now question comes in the beginning, what is radicle actually? When you look at the embryo in its axis, that we call it as embryonal axis, the upper part of the embryonal axis consisting of plumule, the same part later in the developmental stage give rise to shoot system, and lower part of the embryo which consisting of radicle later in the stage of the embryonic development and in the seedling and in the plantlet, this radicle develop into root. So the root developing from the radicle, we consider it as a true root system. But is it same for all the organisms in flowering plants? Answer is no. The reason is, some of the times root may arise from the nodal region of the plant, or sometimes root arises from the leaves, sometimes on the floral buds. There are so many conditions in which we observe the roots arise other than radicle. So there is a specific name for that we call it as adventitious roots. So roots are broadly classified as true root system and adventitious root system. Now tell me, in case somebody asks you what is true root, how do we define it? The root which directly originate from the radicle are called true roots, and the root which is originating other than radicle, then it is called adventitious root system. So I hope this concept is clear. Now here you can see in this picture, this is actually one grass plant. From the lower region of the stem, there are so many roots are originating. Actually, in these type of plants, the root originating from the radicle are short-lived. Okay, only up to some time you observe this true root system, and soon after it dies, and the roots originate from the lower region of the plant body. That is nothing but it is originating from the stem. Very commonly observed in grass like wheat, paddy, and all other cereals. Okay, so this is about the fibrous root system. Initially we discussed about true root system. See, in true root, mother root is present, primary root that we consider it as, secondary root originates from it, and then tertiary roots are formed. So this type of root arrangement we call it as taproot system. So here, whatever we are observing in monocots, so many hair-like roots, they appearing from the lower part of the plant body from the stem, we call it as fibrous root system. Here you cannot differentiate mother root, secondary root, and tertiary root. They are almost all equal in length. Okay, so this is how we differentiate taproot system and fibrous root system, and these two are the very important characters of differentiating monocot and dicot. Okay, monocots, they have fibrous root system, dicots, they have taproot system. Hope this concept is very clear. Now coming to the third type, I already explained actually what is fibrous root system, adventitious root system. The picture on the slide, what you are observing is actually a monstera grass. Monstera we call it as. Here on the stem there are so many roots. Hope you can observe this. Not only from the nodal region, even from the internodal region you can see the roots. Can you tell me what type of root it is? Of course, it is an adventitious root system, root originating other than the radicle. But why it is originating on the stem? The reason is This type of plants, their stem is weak and they are climbers. They need to take a support from nearby plants to climb. So for that, these adventitious roots help them to adhere to the supporting plants. Okay, that is the function of adventitious root, commonly observed in monstera, and even in banyan tree we observe this adventitious roots that I will explain in detail in the modifications of root. Okay. Now coming to the functions of the root. This is very interesting. In common, what we think, the function of the root is to absorb water and minerals. But is it true, or is it only the function of the root? Answer is no, because here you can see synthesis of plant growth regulator, that is also a one major function of the root. Now in this stage, in this particular stage, you don't know what is plant growth regulator. See, as we have different types of hormones for our normal growth, plants do have different types of plant growth hormones. They help in cell division, they help in root formation, they help in flowering, they help in fruit setting. So the changes what we observe in plants, that is mainly because of hormones. Those hormones are also produced in the root. So the root act as a primary organ in the synthesis of plant growth regulators. Then obviously roots are meant for absorption of water, then absorption of mineral from the soil. You know, plants get minerals from the soil, like phosphorus, then nitrogen, then calcium, magnesium, boron. All these are the minerals. They are present in the soil, and along with the absorption of water, these minerals dissolve in water and get uptaken by the plants. Then it provides a proper anchorage to the plant parts. This is very, very important. Well established root system ensures that plant can withstand any type of harsh conditions like heavy wind, heavy rain condition, or earthquake. All these are the unfavorable conditions for the plants. But in that condition, if their root system is very good, they have well penetrated deep roots, then the possibility of plants by not following is very high, in the sense it will not fall off in the unfavorable conditions. Then storing and reserve food materials. So this is also very important. In many of the plants, on set of unfavorable conditions, plants they store the food in the roots. Okay, so these are the some of the functions of the root. Now coming to regions of the root, just look at this picture. So this is the root cap, meristematic region, zone of elongation, zone of maturation. We'll go in detail about this topic, structure of root. Now we'll take a part of the root system. In that one typical root, imagine roots without root cap. Can we penetrate our fingers through the hard soil? It's very, very difficult. The reason is the soil contains pebbles, rocks, hard soil particles. So it's impossible to penetrate our fingers through it. But imagine how the roots are penetrating through all these pebbles, rocks, and hard soil particles. That is mainly because of root cap. This root cap has a special type of material called calyptrogen that protects the young and actively dividing part of the root, and that we call it as meristematic zone, where meristematic cells are present. Now in the meristematic zone, continuously cell undergo cell division. Can you tell me why it continuously undergoes cell division? Because in plants we observe continuous form of growth. Till the death, plant shows the growth. So these meristematic cells, they go on divide and divide and divide, add more and more cells. These cells then undergo differentiation and form permanent cells. Those permanent cells are present in the zone of elongation. Now, in the zone of elongation, the cell wall of the cell increases, cytoplasmic content increases, and now the cells are ready to perform different type of functions. So, proximal to meristematic region, you observe the zone of elongation. Now, proximal to zone of elongation, you observe zone of maturation. So what is the characteristic feature of zone of maturation? Here you observe xylem, phloem and root hairs. The much more differentiated cells are observed here. The reason is root hairs, they are meant for absorption of water and minerals. Root hairs are always unicellular. Please be remember this. Always root hairs are unicellular. When they absorb water, it has to be transported through the organ like xylem. Xylem helps in conduction of water. So in the region of zone of maturation, we commonly observe the xylem. So the same thing I have explained you, different zones of structure of the root. Now coming to difference between taproot and fibrous root system, you can clearly observe here there will be a prominent mother root and they give rise to secondary root and tertiary root. But when we look at the fibrous root system, you cannot differentiate primary, secondary and tertiary roots. And one more thing, taproot systems usually they originate from the radicle, but here in fibrous root system, initial roots they originate from the radicle, but later this root will disappear and give rise to adventitious roots which usually grow on the stem, lower part of the stem. So this is commonly observed in monocots, this is commonly observed in dicots. Next part is very important, it is about the modifications of the root. Root modification, in that modification for storage of food. The two pictures just observe, these are the roots. They are modified for storage of food. But based on different shapes, they have given with different names. The first one is fusiform root. So what it explains actually? Fusiform means the basal part of the root and the end, they are tapering and in the middle they are swollen. That type of root we call it as fusiform root. By looking at this picture, you can depict this is radish. So radish is one of the example for fusiform root. The second, napiform root. Here the picture what you are observing is turnip, or you can also take an example of beetroot. Here the basal part is swollen and suddenly tapers at the end. Such type of roots are considered as napiform root. All these are the tap roots modified for storage of food. As we all know, in these type of plants, aerial part is very delicate. Whenever there is a unfavorable conditions, they lose their leaves. So the underground root part, they perennate in unfavorable condition, and on set of favorable condition again they starts to produce the buds and that will grow into new plant. So this is a type of modification which is also used in perennation. Conical roots commonly observed in carrot. So in carrot, just observe the basal part is swollen and slowly tapers at another end. That means the root looks like a cone. That is why it is considered as conical root. Here you can see tuberous root system. Tuberous means there is no specific shape for this. I hope you can identify this plant. This is very important plant, Mirabilis jalapa, very commonly used in genetic studies. Just look at its root. There is no particular shape, so consider it as tuberous root. Nodulated root, it is one more modification, very important modification. Now scientists are trying to introduce this particular character in all the plants so that they will have ability to fix their own nitrogen deficiency. Very commonly observed in Leguminaceae family. So this is actually observed in Mimosa pudica. In commonly we call it as touch-me-not plant. Here you can see on the roots there are many pink color nodules. These pink color nodules are created by the plant so that it can host the Rhizobium bacteria. Rhizobium bacteria requires anaerobic condition. So these plants, they produce a leg hemoglobin, which is an oxygen scavenger, which absorbs all the oxygen in the nodule so that it can create anaerobic condition for Rhizobium bacteria, and that Rhizobium bacteria utilizes that anaerobic condition and by using its enzyme convert the nitrogen to nitrite, nitrates and ammonia, and that is available for the plants. So this is how they show symbiotic association, a special type of modifications observed in Leguminaceae family. That is why whenever the farmers they they take a crop of cereals, uh, they rotate it with some leguminous plants so that these roots can fix a well amount of nitrogen in the soil for the next crop. Pneumatophores, uh, hope you can see this picture, very beautiful picture. Mangrove trees or rhizophora, these are the plants grow in waterlogged condition in marshy areas. So here the availability of oxygen for the root is very less. In order to get the oxygen, these roots they grow upward, that means negatively geotrophic, and in their roots they have pores through which they exchange the gas, in the sense oxygen. So this type of roots we call it as pneumatophores. A very common plant, another plant, you can say beetle plant or pepper plant. So this is the aerial modification of root, okay, above the ground. The roots are originating from the stem. Of course, when they originate other than radical, we consider it as adventitious root. This is called climbing root. Beetle or pepper, they are weak stemmed plants. They need to climb the tree. So from the nodal region, they produce roots, and these roots help in anchorage to the supporting plant and help the plant to grow upward. Okay, this is about the climbing root. Prop root, see, this is very nice picture. Banyan tree. The canopy of the banyan tree is so large that one stem and the root system cannot support. So this plant come up with the adaptation that from the stem it produces roots. These roots they hang down and reach the soil, and firmly they produces the root system. Okay, so this we call it as prop root system, and they act as a pillars to support the very large canopy of the plant. You know that banyan tree have ability to grow up to acres, 1 acre, 2 acre. That is the size of the banyan tree. That is mainly because of this prop roots. Stilt root. Again, this picture is very nice. Easily you can understand. See, stilt root means plant has a well developed root system for anchorage, absorption of water, all those things. But in monocot plants like sugarcane and maize and some of the large monocot plants, the aerial part cannot be supported with the fibrous root system. So they come up with an idea that from the lower few nodal regions they produces the roots, stilt roots. They can give the mechanical support for the plant. Okay, so this is one more type of adventitious roots which helps in mechanical support. The next part of the topic, that is stem. I hope the morphology of root is clear. In that the modification is also very important. Now coming to stem, now my first question is, stem, is it a aerial part or it is underground? The answer is both. In some case it is aerial part, in some case it is underground, but most of the time we observe the stem in the aerial part. What is the primary function of the stem? Stem bears leaf, flowers, fruits, seeds, etc. So that is the function of the stem. Other than that, how do we differentiate stem from the root? This is very important actually. Remember, stem always has nodal region and internodal regions. That is the distinguishing character of the stem from the root. You know, stem mainly helps in transport of water, minerals, foods from different part of the plant. Okay, food is transported from leaf to other parts of the plant body, as well as water and nutrients are transported from root to other parts of the plant. Now we know stem also consisting internally, the xylem and phloem are well established organs which helps in transport of water and food. Now coming to modifications, this is very important. The primary functions we have studied, sometimes it also involves in photosynthesis. The main function is to bear leaf, flower, fruit, etc. But what is the modification? Here you can see one picture. Can you identify what is this plant? Actually a ginger plant. Ginger, when you hold it in your hand, can you tell me, is it a root or stem? Usually think it's a root because it is underground. When we hold it in our hands, we feel the soil, so we think it's a root. But in close observation, we can clearly see the nodal region and the internodal region. Sometimes you also observe scaly leaves which are colorless. Now tell me why this modification is observed. These plants, on set of favorable condition, they accumulate the food in the underground stem, and this underground stem, they will perennate the unfavorable condition, and on set of favorable condition they start to produce the aerial part like this. So this is how the life cycle of the ginger or turmeric continues. Here we mainly observe rhizome, this is called rhizome, acting as a perennating organ. So this is corm, one more example for stem modification, very common. In Hindi we call it as Zamin Khan. In English it is called Amorphophilus. The very famous plant producing very large flower, even up to 6-7 feet height flower, and producing very foul smell, carcass smell. So attracts a lot of different types of moths and animals towards it for pollination. Here you can see this is the corm modified stem which stores the food, and above that you can observe the roots. Okay, this is one more modification. Next one, potato. Very common. Whenever somebody asks potato, is it a stem modification and root modification? Usually we get confused because it looks like a root. But only if you keep the potato tuber for several days, it starts to produce the buds like this. Then we can understand that it has nodal region from which axillary buds are arising. Okay, so this is how we can say potato is not a root, it is a stem. by observing these buds. They are originating from the axillary buds. Then coming to onion bulb, you know, the stem part of the onion is very much condensed and it produces so many leaves. They also involve in storage of food, as well as the condensed stem part is also involved in storage of food, that we call it as bulb. Then other than storage of food, again there are so many functions of the stem. So this is the subaerial stem modifications, not completely aerial, subaerial. The first one is runner. Here you can see some of the plants. Uh, this is one plant produces a stem which is horizontal to the surface of the soil. Tip of the stem, when it touches the ground, again it produces one more plant and it continues. This is the strawberry plant. In strawberry plant also it is very common, and in grass also we observe this runner type of vegetative mode of reproduction. This is offset, a very famous plant. One is pistia, another one is eichhornia. Please observe this picture. This eichhornia is also known as terror of Bengal. Do you know why it is called terror of Bengal? Because the reproductive capacity of this plant is very high. In case one plant is unknowingly introduced to a fresh lake, you come after 1 or 2 years, the entire surface of the lake is covered by this plant. They have a massive growth capacity, so that is why they are called terror of Bengal. But apart from all those other information, observe this stem part. So this is a small horizontal stem, horizontal to the surface of water, because all these are the hydrophytic plants. This short stem, once it reaches to a certain distance and then produces one more plant, it continues like this. So if you uphold one large plant from the pond or the lake, along with that you observe many plants are coming up, because they are all connected to offset. Once this offset undergo breakdown, all these plants will become individual plants. So this is how we observe a vegetative mode of reproduction in some of the plants, and that we call it as offset. Next one is sucker, a very common type of reproduction observed in banana and chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum plant, here you can see this is the primary mode of reproduction. From the underground stem, they produce many buds and they grow upward and becomes a new plant. In banana also you can clearly see this is the underground rhizome from which it produces the suckers. And if you cut this sucker and separate it and place it in a separate place, it will grow into a new plant. Stolon is another type, very common in Colocasia plants. See, this is the rhizome of the Colocasia plant. Here you can see the stolon. This stolon, they first grow upward and then they creep on the ground. Their tip, when it reaches the soil, it gives rise to another plant. Okay, so this is how we observe different types of stem modifications for reproduction. Subaerial modification we call it as. This is the aerial modification. Other than storage of food, other than vegetative propagation, it also performs some other functions like tendrils. A very beautiful picture. Here you can see in cucumber plant, from the axillary bud it produces the tendrils. These tendrils help the weak stemmed plant to climb with the supporting plants. So this is how tendrils looks like. And this is thorn, very commonly observed in citrus plants. Axillary buds, they are very hard and sharp. So this modification is mainly to avoid the herbivores they are grazing on these plants. So this is how they protect their fleshy stem part, or you can say a tender stem part. Phylloclade. Can you identify this plant? Opuntia, or in other words we can call it as cactus. Here you can see a leaf part of the plant is very much reduced to spines. and the stem part will become large, flattened and green in color, act as a leaf. So this is the main photosynthetic organ of the plant, and the name for that modified stem performing photosynthesis is phylloclade, common in Opuntia. Next part of the topic is leaf. Leaf is the lateral, generally flattened structure borne on the stem. And this leaf in its axil consisting of axillary buds. Leaves are usually attached to the stem with the help of petiole. Okay. Sometimes directly leaves are attached to the stem, and that we call it as sessile leaf. If petiole is present, then leaves are petiolate. Now leaves originate from shoot apical meristem and are arranged in an acropetal order, meaning younger leaves are at the tip and older leaves are at the base. And they are the most important vegetative organ for photosynthesis. We know that the primary function of the leaf is to photosynthesize. Now let us look at the structure of the leaf. So this diagram is very important. When we look at this leaf blade is entire. Here and there you observe small incisions, but that incision is not so deep that it is not touching the midrib. So we call this leaf as a simple leaf, and the middle part is the midrib, and here we can clearly differentiate the veins, and further branching we call it as veinlets. Veins and veinlets, they mainly help in transportation of water as well as transportation of food from the leaf to the other parts of the plant. The one more important thing, here you can see leaves are attached to the stem with the help of petiole, and this small leaf-like structure present at the base of the leaf we call it as stipule. Okay, so this entire part is leaf lamina, mainly involved in photosynthesis. This is one more example. Here leaves are slightly different. This is the lamina part, and if you look at the base of the leaf, it is not like a petiole, it is covering the stem, and that we call it as sheathing leaf base, a very common character observed in monocots. Here one more example is there, where the base of the leaf, nothing but the petiole part of the leaf, is swollen where it connects with the stem, and that swollen part we call it as pulvinous leaf base. One of the very distinguishing character of the family Leguminaceae. So this we'll study in detail in the later part, but hope this concept is clear for you related to petiolate leaf, and here it is sheathing leaf base and pulvinous leaf base. Next part. So this is the same explanation. Leaves are attached to the stem with the help of petiole. This first point. The long, thin, flexible petiole allow the leaf blade to flutter. This is very important because the leaf is continuously exposed to the sunlight. So it may completely damage the upper surface because of overheating. But the petiole part help the leaf to flutter so that the temperature of the leaf surface will be reduced. So same thing is given, thereby cooling the leaf and bringing the fresh air to the leaf surface. The lamina or the leaf blade is the green expanded part of the leaf with the veins and veinlets. There is usually a middle prominent vein which we call it as midrib. Veins provide rigidity to the leaf blade and acts as a channel to transport water and minerals for the mineral materials. Then the shape of the margin and margin, apex, surface and extent of incision of the lamina varies in different leaves. This is very important point because by taking that we will classify the leaf as a simple leaf and compound leaf. Here observe this character, this is very important. In leaf, suppose veins and veinlets are network like, then we call it as reticulate type of venation. If the veins and veinlets are parallel like this, then we call it as parallel venation. Now there are different types of leaves. The main classification is simple leaf and a compound leaf. So what is the difference between simple leaf and compound leaf? Simple leaf, they usually have one leaf and the entire blade. Sometimes incisions are present, but those incisions are not so deep, but it does not touches the midrib. But in compound leaf, incisions are so deep that it touches the midrib, and in one leaf you observe many leaflets. Okay, so that is how we differentiate the simple leaf and compound leaf. And in compound leaf, for the midrib we call it as rachis. Let me show you the picture. In this we can clarify that. So this is an example for simple leaf. This is compound leaf because this is one entire leaf. The incision of the blade is so deep that it touches the midrib, and these are considered as leaflets. One thing is very important here. Whenever leaflets are present, in the axil of these leaflets, there is no axillary buds. Only here you can see the axillary buds at the base of the leaf. Okay, this is very important character. By this we can differentiate the leaf and the leaflets. Then here you can see the one more type of compound leaf. This we call it as pinnately compound leaf because on either side of the rachis you observe the leaflets. Here from one common point there are so many leaflets are originating. Just like our palm, from one palm so many fingers are originating. Here from one point so many leaflets are originating. So the name palmately compound leaf. Phyllotaxy, a very important character of the leaf. Arrangement of leaves on the stem, we call it as phyllotaxy. How many types of phyllotaxy are there? Mainly there are three types: opposite phyllotaxy, alternate phyllotaxy, and whorled phyllotaxy. Other than this, there are so many types, but mainly we observe three types. So alternate phyllotaxy means here one leaves are arranged on the either side of the stem, but one stands over the other like this in an acropetal succession. So this condition we call it as alternate phyllotaxy. So it's very common in China rose and mustard plants. Here you can see opposite phyllotaxy where leaves are arranged on the either side of the stem oppositely. Here also we observe acropetal succession. It's very common in the plant like Calotropis and Guava. Whorled phyllotaxy is very unique type. It's common. It's observed in Alstonia plant. Here from one nodal region, many leaves are originating in all the direction. So that is what we call it as whorled phyllotaxy. Example is Alstonia. Now coming to modification of the leaf. We know the primary function of the leaf is photosynthesis. But other than this, they perform different function in different plants. One of the example is leaf tendril. Already we studied what is stem tendril. Stem tendril function is to support the weak stemmed plants. Similarly here leaf tendril also help in weak stemmed plants. They help in climbing. Here you can see tip of the leaf is coiled and that coils around the nearby supporting plants and help the weak stemmed plant to grow. So this we call it as Gloriosa superba, medicinal plant. One more is modification, that is leaf spine. Already I explained. In cactus plants, because they are growing in a desert or the soil containing very less amount of water. The surface area of the leaf is very much reduced to spines, which acts as a protective structure, because herbivores, they are not able to feed on this phylloclade, which is the modified stem, when the spines are present. So leaves are modified into protective structures in cactus. This is bulb. Bulb is also an example for modified stem. Just look at this, the section of the bulb. All these are the leaves, actually fleshy leaves. They have a stored food material, but this part is modified stem. So whenever we consider bulb as a modified part, it contains both leaf as well as stem for storage of food. The very interesting modification, this is called nepenthes or picture plant. Tip of the leaf is modified into a flask shaped structure which has a particular liquid which traps the insects, because these plants grow in the area where nitrogen is very less, so they absorb the nitrogen by digesting the insects. So it's an example for insectivorous plant. Phylloid, here you can see this is the acacia plant. The tip of the leaf is actually consisting of compound leaf, but it is a temporary leaf, it will wither off, and the petiole part, it will expand and acts as a leaf, helps in photosynthesis, and that we call it as phylloid, very common in acacia plants. The next part of the topic is inflorescence. Now already I explained the importance of the morphology of flowering plants. So far whatever we studied is vegetative part. Now what we are studying is reproductive part. What is inflorescence? Inflorescence is a bunch of flower. So all the flowers are attached to one main axis that we call it as peduncle. The stalk of the flower which attaches to the peduncle, we call it as pedicel. Now sometimes flowers are directly attached to the peduncle, and that we call it as sessile flower. If pedicel is present, then it is called pedicellate flower. If it is absent, then it is called sessile flower. There are two classifications, main classifications, that is Racemose inflorescence and a Cymose inflorescence. In the case of Racemose inflorescence, two characters are very important here. Tip of the inflorescence has growing bud, and even after all the flowers they wither off, this growing bud continues to grow. And the flowers are arranged in such a way that younger flowers are at the tip and older flowers are at the bottom, and that we call it as acropetal succession. One more type of the inflorescence is Cymose inflorescence. Here, tip of the inflorescence ends with the flower. That means there is no growing bud. Sometimes the older flowers are at the top and younger flowers are at the bottom, and that condition we call it as basipetal succession. That is the major difference between the two inflorescence types, that is Racemose inflorescence and Cymose inflorescence. Here you can clearly observe that here this is the Racemose inflorescence and this is the Cymose inflorescence. Tip of the inflorescence is end with the flower, and here you can see this is the older flower and these two are the younger flowers, and they are at the base of the older flower. Example for basipetal succession. This slide is very important because here you can see the different classifications of Racemose inflorescence and Cymose inflorescence. The first one is given raceme. Please observe here younger flower are at the top, older flower are at the bottom, and at the base of the pedicel there is a leaf-like structure, and that is called bract. Okay, so if this type of inflorescence is called present, then it is called simple raceme. This is corymb inflorescence, very important character. Here younger flower and older flower both are at the same height. Okay, then we call it as corymb inflorescence. In Corymbos raceme, a slight difference is there. And in spike inflorescence, here you can see the flowers are arranged like a spike. Alternatively, the flowers are arranged on the peduncle, and younger flower are at the tip and older flower at the bottom. Even in spikes also, a compound spike is observed. Again, they are branched. Catkin inflorescence. The best example is mulberry inflorescence. Here are there are some ornamental plants also. Inflorescence is hanging downwards. It looks like a tail of the cat, so it is called catkin inflorescence. Okay, so these are some of the examples. Here, spadix inflorescence, very common in arecanut or coconut trees. Very woody bract. It covers the inflorescence, that we call it as spadix inflorescence. Simple umbel inflorescence. Again, umbel means it just looks like an inverted umbrella. Then this is the compound umbel. This is capitulum. Again, very important example while we studying Asteraceae family. Here it is not a flower, it is an inflorescence. It has very large involucral bract, and inside that involucral bract you observe many flowers, and in that flowers there are two types, ray florets and disc florets. Actually there are two types of inflorescence. One is homogeneous type, one is heterogeneous type. Only one type of flower is present, then this inflorescence is homogeneous. If two types of flowers are present, then it is heterogeneous type. This is hypanthodium, very common in fig fruits. Then coming to Cymose inflorescence, here unipolar cyme, bipolar cyme and multipolar cymes are observed. This is all the arrangement of flowers on the inflorescence. Usually here older flowers are at the top and younger flowers are at the base. This we call it as basipetal succession. The next part of the topic is flower. As we know, flower is the fascinating organ observed in angiosperms. Flower consists of different parts. Here you can see flowers are situated on the receptacle, that is the thalamus. So thalamus attached to the part we call it as pedicel. Pedicel attaches to the inflorescence axis. Okay, in leaf, the stalk of the leaf is called petiole. At the same time, stalk of the flower is called pedicel. Now, pedicel attaches to thalamus. Thalamus has receptacle, and above which floral whorls are present, and those floral whorls are calyx, which is the outermost, commonly known as sepal, and next to that is corolla, commonly known as petal. Next to that we observe Androecium, that is the stamen, male reproductive structure, and the innermost one, that is Gynoecium, which is nothing but the carpel or pistil. The Gynoecium consisting of stigma, style and ovary. We will study that in detail. Okay, here there are two examples you can clearly observe. One is the hibiscus flower, another one is lily flower. So same thing is explained here. When it comes to symmetry of the flower, shape of the flower, all the flowers, whether they are same, just look at the flowers. This flower, which is mustard flower, so this is flower from Solanaceae. This is one more flower from Solanaceae, chili. This is datura, mustard, datura and chili. Observe the flower, whether they are same. No, there is a difference. If you look at this flower, if you cut the flower in any direction, let us see that. Cut the flower in any direction, you get equal half, right? So this condition we call it as actinomorphic, or in other words we can say radial symmetry. Here also it is same. If you cut the flower in any direction, you will get the equal half. actinomorphic flower. Here also it is same, actinomorphic flower. Okay, so in symmetry the flower may be actinomorphic, zygomorphic. Sometimes there is no symmetry, then it is called asymmetric. When a flower can be divided into two equal radial halves in any radial plane passing through the center, it is said to be actinomorphic. Example, mustard, datura and chili. Next, zygomorphic flower. These are some of the examples you can see. This is Mayflower, you all know, Gulmohar. Okay, Gulmohar. This one. Here, in only one plane, you will get the two half. Okay, zygomorphic flower. This is pea plant. Again, in one direction only, you will get the equal half. This is cassia. One more is bean. Here also, in one plane, you will get the equal half, and that is called zygomorphic flowers. Flower can be divided into two similar halves only in one particular vertical plane, and that is called zygomorphic. Here I have given all the examples with the picture. You can just enjoy this slide. Next one, asymmetric flower. In any plane, if you cut the flower, you won't get the equal half. That is asymmetric flower. Example is canna. This is the canna garden. This is one flower. Here there is no proper symmetry. See, based on the number of calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium, flower can be classified as trimerous, tetramerous and pentamerous flowers. That means if the calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium are multiple of 3, like 3 androecium, 3 gynoecium, 3 calyx, 3 corolla, then it is called trimerous flower. It may not be in all the cases. Sometimes if they have 2 whorls with multiple of 3, then we can say it is trimerous. Similarly for tetramerous, it is 4. Similarly in the case of pentamerous, it is 5, multiple of 5. 5 calyx, 5 corolla, 5 androecium, 5 gynoecium, then it is called pentamerous flower. Okay, and there is one picture given here. This represents the bract. You know, it is a bougainvillea plant where very colored bract is observed. What is bract actually? See, flowers with the bract reduced leaf found at the base of the pedicel are called bracteate flower. That means leaf-like structure present at the base of the flower is called bract. This bract may not be present in all the cases. Sometimes bract is absent, then it is called ebracteate. All these characters are used in describing the characters of family. Now coming to different types of flowers based on the position of the ovary. There are 3 types: hypogynous, epigynous and perigynous type. In other words, we can say superior ovary, inferior ovary, and one more type where half superior and half inferior. Let us see the examples. Based on the position of the calyx, corolla and androecium in respect to ovary on the thalamus, the flowers are described as hypogynous, perigynous and epigynous. So in hypogynous flower, the gynoecium occupies the highest position. That means when you look at the flower, calyx is the outermost, lie below, next corolla, next androecium and gynoecium situated above all of this. Then it is called superior ovary or hypogynous ovary. Hypo means superior, gynoecium is the reproductive part. So China rose, brinjal and one more mustard is the example for hypogynous ovary. Here you can clearly see persistent calyx, and this is the fruit, actually brinjal fruit. which is developed from the fertilized ovary, and this calyx usually they wither off after the fertilization, but along with the fruit here it is growing, so it is called persistent calyx. This is about the hypogynous ovary. Now these are some of the examples like plum, rose and peach here. What is the important character here? It is Gynoecium is not located superiorly or it is located inferiorly. It is present in between, half superior, half inferior, and this condition we call it as perigynous ovary. If the gynoecium is situated in the center and other parts of the flowers are located on the rim of the thalamus, almost at the same level, then it is called perigynous. Then what is epigynous actually? Epi means below, gynous means gynoecium. Here you can observe the example of cucumber and sunflower, guava. Just observe the picture. Here gynoecium is below. Here also gynoecium is below. And floral whorls are present above. That is calyx, corolla, androecium are present above. This condition is the epigynous condition. Now coming to different parts of the flower. I just said there are 4 whorls. Where they are situated? On the thalamus. Outermost whorl is sepal and technical term used is calyx. Inner to that is petal, technical term used is corolla. Then the essential whorls are androecium, the common word is stamen. Then the female reproductive part is gynoecium. We also use the term pistil and carpel for that. Okay. Now, calyx is the outermost whorl of the flower and the members are called sepals. Sepals are green, leaf-like and protects the flower in the bud condition. So the function of the calyx is protecting the flower in the bud condition. Here you can see the calyx. All the sepals are fused. Actually, this calyx is taken from the hibiscus. All are fused, so it is called gamosepalous condition. In the example of rose, sepals all are free and it is called polysepalous condition. Now corolla, nothing but the petals. They are variously colored. Sometimes colored, sometimes not. Tell me why they are colored. I said they are essential whorls or accessory whorls. They are accessory whorls. That means they help in reproduction. If petals are beautiful, colorful, attractive, then they attract the pollinators like insects, then butterflies, then ants. They come to the flower with attractive petals. Nothing but the corolla. This corolla also sometimes fused, sometimes free. If they are fused, then it is called gamopetalous condition. If they are free, then it is called polypetalous condition. Gamopetalous condition and polypetalous condition. Here are the examples. Look at this beautiful picture. One is nothing but datura, where you can observe bell-shaped flower. All the petals are fused here. This is called gamopetalous condition. This is gulmohar. You can see all the petals are free here. This is called polypetalous condition. Now there is one concept called aestivation. Aestivation means arrangement of sepals and petals in bud condition is called aestivation. So when we can depict the different aestivation in the flower? Only in the bud condition. Take a floral bud and take its section, cross section, and observe. You can see different arrangement of sepals and petals, and that is what we call it as aestivation. There are different types: valvate aestivation, imbricate aestivation, twisted aestivation, and vexillary aestivation. Here you can see the different pictures. If petals and sepals, if they touch at their edge, and then it is called valvate aestivation. If they overlap on each other in a twisted manner, then it is called twisted aestivation. If one, here you can see, one sepal or petal is completely inside, one is completely outside, and other three are overlapping, and then it is called imbricate aestivation. In the case of vexillary aestivation, there is one standard petal, two wing petals, and fused keel petal is observed. Very common in the case of Fabaceae. Okay, that is the vexillary aestivation. What is aestivation actually? Arrangement of sepals and petals in a bud condition is called aestivation. Now let us see some of the examples for aestivation. Calotropis is the example for valvate aestivation. Then in the case of cotton, we observe twisted aestivation. Even in China rose and lady's finger also we observe twisted aestivation. And in the case of imbricate aestivation, best example Cassia and Gulmohar. And Papilionaceous corolla, butterfly wing like corolla is called Papilionaceous corolla. Our vexillary aestivation is very common in Fabaceae family, pea plant and bean, then Crotalaria, Clitoria, all these are the flowering plants, they produce vexillary aestivation. Now coming to another floral whorl, very essential whorl, reproductive whorl and male reproductive structure, that is called Androecium. Now tell me, what do you know about Androecium? Just now I said it is a male reproductive structure. It consists of three regions, that is anther lobe, this is the filament, and here is the connective. There are three regions. And this anther lobe consisting of pollen mother cells, they undergo meiosis and produces the pollen grains. And these pollen grains are the male gametes, reaches the gynoecium, and fertilization takes place, which leads to development of embryo and seed. Nothing but a zygote formation. Okay. Now here, each stamen which represents the male reproductive organ consists of stalk or filament and anther. Each anther is usually bilobed. Here the purpose of adding this picture is to understand bilobed condition. Two lobes are present and each lobe is having two chambers, that is the pollen sac. Bilobed dithecous condition. Then pollen grains are produced in the pollen sac. A sterile stamen is called staminode. Very, very important character. Staminode. Sometimes flower produces Androecium and Gynoecium both. It is a bisexual flower. But male reproductive structure, even though they are produced, the pollen grain produced are sterile. And they are called staminodes. Why this condition is observed? Because flower is avoiding self-pollination and promoting cross-pollination, so that it can have some variation in its genetic composition. Okay. Stamens of the flower may be united with other members such as petals or among themselves. Then condition, we can say a polypetalous condition, epipetalous condition and epipillous condition. See, this is very important. Epipetalous condition. Stamen is originating from the petal. Okay, that is epipetalous condition. But sometimes in flower, sepal and petals cannot be distinguishable, and then it is called perianth. Very, very important condition. Petals and sepals. Usually sepals are green in color, petals are colorful. But in the case of perianth, petals and sepals cannot be distinguishable. The best example is lily in the first slide I have shown, where petals and sepals cannot be distinguishable. So the term perianth is used. Individual units of the perianth is called tepals. Now from the tepals, Androecium is originating, and that condition is called epiphyllous condition. Epipetalous condition is very natural, where stamen originates from the petals. Epiphyllous condition is very rare, where perianth is present. Individual units are called tepals. From the tepals, stamens are originating, and that is what we call it as epiphyllous condition. Now, if you observe the stamens, they arrange in different orders. Sometimes all the stamens are free, sometimes all the stamens are fused. If they are fused, again in that different types. Now, here, if stamens are fused, then it is called Adelphi. If all the stamens fuse to form single bundle, then it is called monoadelphous condition. So Hibiscus is the best example where you can observe all the stamens are fused to form a single bundle. So this is the single bundle. Monoadelphous condition. Okay. Here in the case of Crotalaria, or you can say Clitoria, or any members of the Fabaceae, the arrangement of Androecium is in two bundles. This is one bundle, this is separate. So this is called diadelphous condition. Sometimes they form multiple bundles, then it is called polyadelphous condition. Here are some of the examples for monoadelphous, that is China rose, diadelphous, P, and polyadelphous, just like in citrus plants. These are the examples. Examples are very important here because they can match the following type of questions from these topics. So variation in the length of the filament within the flower, as in salvinia and mustard. This is also important. One flower may not have a same length stamen. Sometimes length of the stamen will also vary. Some are shorter, some are longer. Why this difference is observed? This is all adaptation for pollination. Okay. Now coming to Gynoecium, which is the female reproductive structure. Gynoecium consisting of three regions: stigma, style, and ovary. So the stigma is the region, it is the landing platform for pollen grains. Style is the region where once the pollen grains are landed on the stigmatic surface, the chemicals sense the pollen grains belongs to same species and they allow the pollen grain to germinate. Now pollen tube passes through the style and reaches the ovary where ovules are present. Now ovules consisting of a female gametophyte which consisting of egg, and male gamete fuses with the female gamete and forming a zygote. So this is how Gynoecium performs. Now if you look at the Gynoecium, here this is stigma, style, and here ovary is present, and here you can see multiple ovaries. That means in Gynoecium you observe different types: apocarpous condition and syncarpous condition. In a flower, more than one Gynoecium is present, all the Gynoecium are fused, then it is called syncarpous condition. Suppose in a flower, more than one Gynoecium is present, they are all free, just like in Michaelia champaka. All the Gynoecium are free, more than one Gynoecium is present, and that condition is called apocarpous condition. Syncarpous condition and apocarpous condition, very important characteristic feature. Okay. You know, when the fertilization takes place, ovary after fertilization develop into fruit, ovules they develop into seeds. Now this is very important. Placentation, one more concept related to arrangement of ovules inside the ovary. Now what is the definition of placentation? Arrangement of ovules inside the ovary is called placentation. There are different types of placentation. Okay, marginal placentation, axial placentation, parietal placentation, basal placentation, and free central placentation. So these are some of the pictures you can observe. Marginal placentation commonly observed in pea plants. Axial placentation commonly observed in hibiscus and citrus fruits. Parietal placentation is observed in castor, mustard, and in papaya. And free central placentation is very common in chili. Basal placentation is common in sunflower. Apart from this, we will see the explanation of all of this. See, here you can see the beautiful arrangement of pea inside the pea pod. Observe here on the one margin, in other words, we can say suture, all the fruits are attached. Fruits are nothing, sorry, seeds are attached. Seeds are nothing but what? Ovules. Now, after fertilization, these ovules develop into seeds. Now, this pod is the fruit. Now, in one suture they are arranged. On one margin they are arranged. So, they are called marginal placentation. In marginal placentation, the placenta forms a ridge along the ventral suture of the ovary, and the ovules are borne on the ridge, forming two rows as in the pea. Now, this is an example for axial placentation. Clearly you can see this is the citrus fruit, lemon. When the placenta is axial and the ovules are attached to it in multilocular ovary, the placentation is said to be axial placentation. So it is the multilocular ovary. Locules means chambers. All these are the chambers. Here you can see the arrangement of seeds. Okay, here also you can see tomato, axial placentation. Parietal placentation. Actually, this is argemone, this is mustard. Observation of parietal placentation, here it is difficult, but it is very clearly observed in papaya. If you take the papaya fruit and cut it, inside you can see on the wall of the fruit, the arrangement of seeds are observed. Nothing but the seeds are arranged on the parietal placentation, peripheral region. Here what happens? Ovules are attached to the inner peripheral wall of the ovary. That is called parietal placentation. But you should remember this example. Now coming to example like dianthus and primrose, here we observe free central placentation. But for consideration, it is very easy to take chili. Cut the chili and observe. Centrally you observe the cushion-like structure, and peripheral to that you observe the seeds. Okay, that is called free central placentation. Basal placentation is observed in marigold and sunflower, where at the base of the ovary single ovule is present. Then it is called basal placentation. So placentation is all about arrangement of ovules inside the ovary. Okay, that can be observed even in fruits also, because in fruit it consisting of fruit and seed. Seed are nothing but the fertilized ovule, and fruit is nothing but the fertilized ovary. Coming to fruit, fruit is nothing but the fertilized ovary. Now fruit, there are so many types: fleshy fruits, dry dehiscent fruits, dry fruits, like this. But fruit, in a typical fruit we observe, it consists of three regions: outer pericarp, middle mesocarp, and inner endocarp. In some of the fruit like mango, mesocarp is fleshy and it is edible. And in some of the fruit like coconut, endocarp is edible and mesocarp is fibrous. Okay, endocarp is very hard, inside that kernel is present. Kernel is edible, not endocarp. Endocarp is clerenchymatous in the case of coconut. Here you can see that. Now coming to seeds. Seeds are nothing but the fertilized ovules. Now seed consisting of seed coat, endosperm and embryo. Sometimes endosperm may be present, sometimes endosperms are absent. Seed coat consisting of two regions, testa and tegmen. Testa is the outermost region, which is dark brown in color. Tegmen is inner, they are transparent. Okay, they are nothing but integuments, which is observed in the structure of ovule. Integuments develop into testa and tegmen. Now here you can see a scar-like structure, and that is called hilum. Part of the seed attached to the ovary, that is called hilum. Actually, with the help of funicle, ovules attached to ovary. That funicles region, when it is detached, it retains the scar, and that is called hilum. And opening is present in the seed, that is called micropylar region. This is very important character, because during seed germination, water enters to the micropylar region and helps in swelling of the seed, and then it helps in germination. And when the seed coats are removed, it appears like this, having two cotyledons, and this is the embryonal axis. Embryo consisting of plumule and radicle. Plumule give rise to shoot and radicle give rise to root. See, this is the Kabul channa, or you can say what? Just like if you take the example of P, it consisting of two cotyledons. Okay. In dicotyledonous seeds, you can see two cotyledons. Externally, it is covered by testa and tegmen, and micropylar region, plumule region, all those things I already explained. In some seeds, such as castor, endosperm is formed as a result of double fertilization. It's a food storing tissue and called endospermic seeds. That means even after seeds are formed, endosperm is retained, then it is called endospermic seed. But in most of the cases, during the development of the embryo, endosperm is completely consumed, and those are called non-endospermic seeds. Example is P. Now when you look at the monocot seeds, I will take the picture directly. So this is the structure of monocot seed, maize seed. See, there is only one cotyledon, monocotyledonous. Here you can see the scutellum, which represents the monocotyledon. Plumule is covered by a protective layer called coleoptile, and radicle is covered by coleorhizae. And the outer proteinaceous layer is called aleuron layer. This is in the case of monocotyledons. So last part of the topic is semi-technical description of typical flowering plants, and this will help us to study the families in detail. Whatever we have studied till here, it is because we are using all morphological descriptions to describe the family. So all descriptions are given in the technical terms while describing the families. Here the topic semi-technical descriptions of typical flowering plant. The description has to be brief, in one words or in one sentence, like this, in a simple and scientific language, and represented in a proper sequence. So what it represents? You cannot randomly write the characters like by taking fruit character first, then seed, then ovary, then flower, then inflorescence, then vegetative part, not like this. So there is one proper order. Like first we will take vegetative characters like habit of the plant, then root, stem, leaves. Likewise we take the vegetative character, then we take the floral character, in which first we study inflorescence, then flower. In that outermost one is sepal, then petal, then androecium, then gynoecium, then fruits, then seeds, then floral formula, then floral diagram. Likewise we study in a sequence. Okay. So the plant is described beginning with its habit, vegetative characters, root, stem, leaves, and the floral character, inflorescence, and the flower. After describing the various parts of the plant, a floral diagram and floral formula are presented. That is the very important part. The floral formula is represented by some symbols. Now we are going to study different symbols used in the representation of floral formula. It is very important topic. Now bract. Just remind the topic where we have a complete description of bract actually. If a flower in its base a small leaf-like structure is present, then it is called bract. So it may not be present in all the plants. If it is present, then we call it as bracteate. If it is absent, then we call it as ebracteate condition. So while describing the family, in case bract is present, then we write it as Br. Okay. If the bract is absent, then it is represented as EBR, ebracteate. Okay. That is the outermost because it is present at the base of the flower. Now calyx stands for what? Sepal, which is the outermost one, and that is represented as capital K. Corolla, nothing but the petal, represented as capital C. Perianth, hope you remember the word perianth. When there is no differentiate between sepal and the petal, then it is called perianth. Individual units of the perianth is called tepals. So perianth is represented as P. Then Androecium, nothing but the male reproductive part, stamen, represented as capital A. Gynoecium, female reproductive part, represented as G. Okay, so these are the technical letters used in describing the floral formula. Continuing this, observe here, superior ovary. We studied three conditions: hypogynous condition, epigynous condition, and perigynous condition. So to represent the hypogynous and epigynous condition, here for superior ovary, that is hypogynous condition, we write the gynoecium as G, and gynoecium is at the top of all other floral whorls. Okay, superior ovary, that means gynoecium is above sepal, petal, and androecium. Inferior ovary, at that time gynoecium is located below the stamen, petal, and sepal. So here it is represented as G, and above we write the line like this. Then male is represented as circle with one arrow mark, female circle with plus sign at the bottom. Bisexual plants, that means flower should have both androecium and gynoecium. These are the unisexual flowers. Now we represent the bisexual like this. Then actinomorphic condition, circle with plus sign at the center. Zygomorphic like percentage. So these are the symbols, denotes their different conditions like superior ovary, inferior ovary, male, female, bisexual plant, actinomorphic, and zygomorphic. Now this part is again important. Sometimes we observe that Androecium all are fused, or sometimes Androecium is present on the petal, not directly originating from the thalamus. So at that time what we'll do, fusion is indicated by enclosing the figure within the bracket. That means we observe gamosepalous condition, gamopetalous condition, Adelphi in the case of stamens, and in carpels we observe syncarpous condition. Remember all these terms. Gamosepalous condition means all sepals are fused. Gamopetalous condition means all petals are fused. Then Adelphi means cohesion of stamens. Stamens are fused. Monoadelphous condition, diadelphous condition, polyadelphous condition, etc. And carpels, when they are fused, then it is called syncarpous condition. So if this condition is present in a particular plant and that group of plant belong to a particular family, how do we represent it? We should write it inside the bracket. Let me take one example to show that. See here, floral diagram and floral formula of Brassicaceae is given. Here you can see syncarpous condition is there, in the sense two carpels are there and they are fused. To indicate their syncarpous condition, they have written two carpels inside the bracket. Similarly, if any plant showing sepals where gamosepalous condition is present, then calyx they should be written inside the bracket. Similarly, corolla and Androecium. This is one thing. Second thing, suppose Androecium is present on the corolla, that means epipetalous condition or epiphyllous condition. At this time we should show the presence of Androecium on the corolla or presence of Androecium on the perianth by drawing this mark above. Okay, that is the representation of epipetalous condition, epiphyllous condition. Epipetalous, epiphyllous. So this is very important symbol again. Now observe the next point. The floral diagram provides information about the number of parts of flower, because sometimes flower may be unisexual. It may not have Androecium, only Gynoecium is present, or sometimes calyx and sepals, calyx and corolla cannot be differentiable. Perianth is present, then it is represented as P. So similarly, the floral diagram and floral formula are very important information about the number of parts of the flower, their arrangement and their relations they have with one another, whether there is a cohesion condition or it is originating from the petals. So in order to have information about epipetalous condition, cohesions, we require floral formula and floral diagram. The position of the mother axis with respect to the flower is represented by dot on the top of the floral diagram. Here you can see the dot on the above of the floral diagram. Why this is so important? Very common. In your all garden you observe chili plants. It's very common. Or any of the Solanaceae members. We can say brinjal family, where flowers, suppose this is the stem, flower is not producing perpendicular to this 90 degree, not producing like this. Flowers are somewhat twisted. So at that time, this dot, what we are representing the position of the flower with respect to main axis of the plant, we can show with one cross arrow mark. What it indicates actually, flowers are not perpendicular, it is twisted. Okay, so calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium are drawn in successive whorls, calyx being the outermost and gynoecium being the center. So this is the way of drawing the floral diagram. You cannot randomly write it. There should be a sequence. Outermost one is calyx, inner to that is corolla, and next androecium, and the central one is gynoecium. Now floral formula also shows cohesion and adhesion within the parts of whorls and between the whorls. Already I explained what is cohesion actually. If all the stamens are fused, or if stamens are forming two bundles, at that time we should write it under the bracket. That is the cohesion. Adhesion means the stamens sometimes they are not originating from the thalamus, instead they are originating from the petals or tepals. That is the adhesion. Now let us start with the different families. Very important, because in the revised syllabus of NEET, they added more number of families to study. Actually in your textbook they have given only one family, that is Solanaceae, but here we study many more families. We will study one by one in detail. The first one is Brassicaceae, or it can also be known as Cruciferae. Can you imagine why the name is Cruciferae? Because their petal arrangement is cruciform, like plus mark, cruciform. So the name of the family it is Cruciferae, but it is the old name. New name is Brassicaceae. General description we will see. Commonly known as mustard family. Most of us have seen wild mustard in the roadside. It produces yellow color flower. Mainly distributed in the tropical and subtropical regions. Okay, actually it requires certain amount of moisture and water content in the soil. That is why commonly observed in tropic and subtropic regions. Habit: annual or perennial herbs. So this is the general character of the family, not specific to one particular plant. So imagine mustard family means not only mustard plant, related plants are there. Later I will show you the pictures. So in that, some of them are annual. That means they complete their entire life cycle in 1 year. Seed germinates, produces seedlings, seedling develop into plantlets, plantlet develop into plant, plant develop into mature plant produces flower produces fruit, fruit produces seeds, seed again germinates. So this is how the entire life cycle, vegetative growth and reproductive growth, is completed in 1 year. Then it is called annual. Sometimes they are perennial herbs. What is the meaning of perennial herb? That means it can survive for many years. Sometimes plant require 2 to 3 years for their vegetative growth. Then they attain the reproductive maturity and starts to produce the flower year on year or seasonally. So this is how perennial herbs are present. Very important, they are using the term herbs. That means in mustard family, you cannot see any type of trees here. Here you only see the herbs, weak stemmed plants. Very important character. Perennial and annual herbs. Okay. Now coming to root, of course they are dicots. So you observe the taproot system. Fusiform, napiform, tuberous roots may be found. So here fusiform, this you can see in radish. Roots are modified for storage of food. So that modification shape is like in both the end of the root it is tapering, in the middle it is swollen. Okay, so this is how, this is fusiform. Okay, napiform means it is swollen and suddenly tapers at the another end. So this is napiform. Okay, commonly observed in turnip. These are the modifications observed in root. Now coming to stem, herbaceous stem with the pungent watery fluid have stellate hairs. All the characters are important. Make sure you are aware with all the words at the end of this description. Herbaceous stem, weak stem, with the pungent watery fluid. Whenever we cut the radish for any preparation of food, we can smell the root, right? That is the pungent, means smelly. Have stellate hairs, means a star shaped hairs are present. Okay. Leaves, actually a stem part is very much reduced in the case of radish, right? You observe rosette of leaves, bunch of leaves originating from short stem, and the lower part, white color you are observing, is modified root. But when they start to produce the inflorescence or the flower, this nodal region will undergo bolting, and you can see the clear nodal region and internodal region. At that time you can see stellate hairs. In some other family, mustard, directly on the stem you can see the stellate hairs. Leaves, simple, rarely compound, alternate, sessile, exstipulate, reticulate venation. See, actually after learning all about morphology, we should be aware of all these technical terms. But anyhow, I will explain these terms once again here. Leaves are simple, means their leaf blade is entire. Then rarely compound leaves. That means some members may have compound leaves, where you observe one leaf and leaflets, many leaflets. Alternate, they arranged alternatively on the stem. That means one leaf here, next leaf here, next here, like this it continues. Sessile, exstipulate. Sessile means here stalk of the leaf is reduced, directly leaf attaches to the stem. That means you won't observe a dominant petiole region. Exstipulate means, stipule means stipulate. Okay, a small leaf-like structure present at the base of the leaf is called stipulate. That is not present here, so we call it as exstipulate condition. Reticulate venation means veins are network-like. Now coming to next character, that is inflorescence. Corymbose raceme or corymb inflorescence. Racemose inflorescence means here we observe younger flower at the tip, older flower are at the base. But this corymbose, this condition means here what happens, this is the peduncle on which flowers are arranged. Younger flower are at the tip, older flowers are at the base. But interestingly, all the flower they reaches to the same height because of the long pedicel in the older flowers and short pedicel in the younger flowers. They all reach at the same height. So that is why it is called corymb inflorescence. Now coming to flower, flowers are bisexual, that means Androecium and Gynoecium both are present. Actinomorphic, that means if you cut the flower in any direction, you will get the equal half. In other words, we can say radial symmetry. Sometimes zygomorphic. Hypogynous, hypogynous means superior ovary. Bracteate or ebracteate, that means some of the members in this family they have small leaf-like structure at the base of the flower. Some of them they do not have. If present in it, it is called bracteate. If it is absent, then it is called ebracteate. Then tetramerous condition, that means you observe the floral whorls in multiples, 4 calyx, 4 corolla, 4 androecium, 4 gynoecium, like this you observe the multiples of different whorls. So it is called tetramerous condition, multiple of 4. Now coming to calyx, there are 4 calyx, nothing but the sepal, they are all free. Then it is called polysepalous condition. Into 2 whorls, 2 plus 2 valvate aestivation. Here you can see 2 are exterior, 2 are interior, 2 plus 2. They are in 2 whorls. Corolla, nothing but the petal, 4 polypetalous cruciform and reduced valvate aestivation. Here you can see 1, 2, 3 and 4. So like this, cruciform. Now Androecium, 6 stamens are present. This is very interesting. 6 stamens arranged in 2 whorls, 2 plus 2, 4, polyandrous tetradynamous condition. Polyandrous tetradynamous condition. Tetradynamous condition term is used whenever the length of the stamens are not same. Here 4 stamens in one whorl have similar length and another 2 they have short in length. So polyandrous tetradynamous condition. Dithecous, they have 2 lobes in anther. Gynoecium, bicarpellary, that means there are 2 carpels. Syncarpous, they are fused. Here you can see only one carpel, but it is in the fused condition, syncarpous condition. Superior ovary, that means ovary is situated above all other whorls. Then parietal placentation. Parietal placentation means ovules are attached to the inner peripheral wall of the ovary, that we call it as parietal placentation. Then replum is present. Replum is a false cross wall. We can also say septum, cross wall. Okay. Pollination is usually by insects. Entomophily means by insects. Fruit, it is a siliqua or silicule. So in your NCERT, actually one type of fruit is given, that is drupe. Here siliqua or silicule is like small seeds, like mustard seeds, you can imagine. Other than that, we won't go for any description of these fruits. Seed, a small, non-endospermic, in the sense at the development of embryo, it consumes complete endosperm. So the seeds have no endosperm, only cotyledons are present. It is called non-endospermic. Now if you look at this floral diagram and floral formula, it will be very clear. The floral axis given outermost and then sepals. Here 2 of them are interior, 2 of them are exterior. So 2 plus 2 condition, they are arranged in 2 whorls, and petals are in cruciform condition, valvate aestivation, and there are 6 stamens, again 4 are inward, 2 are outward. So tetradynamous condition. Here you can see tetradynamous condition. Then gynoecium, bicarpellary, syncarpous and hypogynous condition is observed, and this represents the septum or replum. A false septum is observed here. Just observe the floral formula. Actinomorphic condition, bisexual, calyx 2 plus 2, corolla 4, androecium 2 plus 4, gynoecium. Here they are showing that gynoecium is above all. So this line indicates superior ovary, and there are 2 carpels, they are fused. So it is written inside the bracket. Okay, this is how we write the floral formula and floral diagram. Let us see some of the economic importance and examples. These are some of the economic importance. The members of this family are source of food. Example, Brassica campestris. So this is the mustard plant, Brassica campestris. Then Brassica oleracea. This is cauliflower. Then Brassica rapa, turnip. And Raphanus sativus. This is the radish. Here you can see the picture where all the examples are given related to Brassicaceae family. Likewise, some of them, they have medicinal importance. That is Iberis amara. This is Iberis amara, used in treating gout and rheumatism. Lobularia. This is the Lobularia plant, used in treating gonorrhea, and Lepidium sativum, and used to treat the asthma and piles. This one, Lepidium sativum. Ornamental plants are Iberis amara. Again, Iberis amara is used as an ornamental plant. And one more is Cherianthus cherry. This is the Cherianthus cherry. As an oil seed, we use mustard. These are some of the economic importance of the family Brassicaceae. Next, we are going to study family Malvaceae. First, we will take some of the examples so that we can have some idea how we can derive the characters of the family Malvaceae. Hope you all are aware with the plant Hibiscus rosa chinensis. I mean China rose, we will say. I will give you some of the examples so that you can have an idea. These are some of the members of family Malvaceae. Let us go with the characters of the family. First we discuss vegetative character and then we discuss floral character. So general description, it is known as Mallow family, are mainly distributed in the tropical and subtropical regions. Again, distribution is at the tropical and subtropical regions. Habit, herb, shrubs and trees are observed. Small trees are observed. Then roots are profusely branched taproot system. There is no modifications here. Stem, erect, branched with the star-shaped trichomes. Trichome means hair-like structure present on the stem. Erect means growing upward. Then leaves are simple, alternate, palmately lobed. Palmately lobed means like not like palmately compound leaf. It is a simple leaf, but you can see the incisions on the margin. That incision is not so deep, it is not touching the midrib. So you can see the palmately dissected simple leaf. In other words, I can show you with the diagram like this. So this is one simple leaf. This is not compound leaf, okay? This is how. Say for example, like this. Not exactly like this, somewhat. Okay? Now, coming to inflorescence, solitary, single, terminal, that means single flower terminates at the end of the inflorescence. Then axillary, Cymose or raceme. See here, there are so many members of this Malvaceae. They have different types of inflorescence. Okay. Then flowers, bisexual, Androecium, Gynoecium, both are present. Bracteate means small leaf-like structure present at the base of the flower. Actinomorphic, radial symmetry is present. Complete, that means sepal, petal, Androecium, Gynoecium, all are present. Pentamerous condition, 5 sepal, 5 petal, 5 Androecium, 5 Gynoecium, like this. You observe multiples of 5. Then hypogynous condition, ovary is superior. Now coming to calyx. Calyx is the outermost whorl. Epicalyx formed by bracteoles is present below the calyx and is protective in nature. Epicalyx means here we mostly observe gamosepalous condition, like this. Sepals are present. Here you can see the pedicel which is attached to the stem, and base of this calyx, here you can see the epicalyx like this. That is the epicalyx. It is protective in nature. Then corolla 5. Petals are free, polypetalous condition, but basally adnate. That means we should consider it as a gamopetalous condition or polypetalous condition. If they are fused, then it is gamopetalous condition only. Okay. Then twisted aestivation. Petals are twisted, overlapping on one another. Androecium, numerous stamens, they all together form one bundle. That is called monoadelphous condition, and they are present on the petals, so epipetalous condition. Monothecous, single lobe is present. Extrorse anther, anthers are outward. Then reniform. Reniform means like this, reniform. And dehiscence, transverse. Here it dehisces like this, transverse. Then Gynoecium, a compound pistil of 2 to many carpels. Here 2 to many carpels are present, they are fused, so the term syncarpous condition, axial placentation is observed. Here you can see, this is the Gynoecium part. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carpels are present and they are all fused. Then coming to pollination, usually cross pollination entomophily favored by protandry and hercogamy. Again these two terms are new terms. Protandry means during the maturation of the flower, Androecium matures first and then Gynoecium matures. So this condition is observed in flowers just to avoid self-pollination and to encourage cross-pollination. Okay, so protandry is observed and hercogamy is also observed. Hercogamy means here there is a physical barrier, so even the fertile pollen grains from the same flower deposited on the stigmatic surface, it won't allow the pollen grains to germinate. So that condition is called hercogamy. And fruit capsule or schizocarp. You just imagine the fruit of lady's finger. Okay. Then seeds with curved embryo and scanty endosperm. Okay, very little endosperm is present. Then floral formula and floral diagram. This is very important. Observe this. Okay. Floral axis here. Let me take the color. This is the floral axis. Then outermost sepals. Actually here these are representing epicalyx. Okay, outermost epicalyx is given. They are free. Then comes the calyx. All of them are fused. Here you can see gamosepalous condition. Then the inner one is petal. Here you can see the twisted aestivation. Twisted aestivation, overlappings. And all the stamen are originating from the petals, epipetalous condition, and all of them are fused. That we call it as monoadelphous condition. Then more than one carpel is present, so here you can see 5 carpels, they are fused, syncarpous condition. If you observe the floral formula, bracteate, bracteolate, then actinomorphic, bisexual, calyx 5 and they are fused, corolla 5, Androecium present on the corolla and number of Androeciums are not defined, so it is infinite, Gynoecium superior and 5. So this is how you write the floral formula. Okay, there is a specific order to write this. Here in this slide you can observe different examples of the family Malvaceae. These plants are used as a food. Abelmuscus esculentus, that is okra. Then Hibiscus cannabis, this is commonly known as gongura, used as a vegetable. Then ornamentals, this Althea rosea is one of the member of the family Malvaceae, used as a ornamental plant. Then hibiscus, you know the hibiscus plant, that's why I have not included in this slide. Then medicinal plant, Urina lobata, this is Urina lobata, very common, grow like a weed. Then one more is Gossypium species, that is the cotton. You know, it is commercially used to extract the cotton. Okay, so let us continue with the next family, that is Fabaceae. The old name is Papilionoidae. The name Papilionoidae because it has butterfly wing like petals, that is the name derived because of the structure of petals. Let us see the general description. One of the subfamily of Leguminaceae. This Leguminaceae is mainly because of legume fruits. That is the unique type of fruits observed in all the members of the family. It also termed as a pea family. Distributed all over the world. That means their distribution is almost cosmopolitan. Wherever you go, you observe one or the other members of the Fabaceae. Trees, shrubs and herbs. So all the category of habit is observed here. Root, tap roots with root nodules. This is very important character. Presence of root nodules. Here in the roots of the plants of Fabaceae, there is an association of Rhizobium bacteria. Rhizobium bacteria have the ability to fix the atmospheric nitrogen. So to fix the atmospheric nitrogen, the root nodules formed in the members of this Fabaceae plants, they creates one favorable condition which allow the Rhizobium bacteria to convert the atmospheric nitrogen. Next, stem, erect or climber, herbaceous. Here most of you have observed Clitorium. This plant is a climber. Okay, most of them they are trees and some of them are herbs, very weak stemmed plants. Leaves alternate, means one after the other in the opposite side. Then pinnately compound, here compound leaves are present. Leaflets are present on either side of the rachis. Simple leaf, both the type is observed, compound as well as simple. Reticulate venation, that is the peculiar character of all the dicot plants. Pulvinate leaf base, this is very important character. Pulvinate leaf base. Swollen leaf base, that is the family character. Okay. Inflorescence, racemose, that means tip of the inflorescence. is not ends with the flower. It has a bud which shows continuous growth. Panicle in Dalbergia. There are so many types of inflorescence. In that, one type is panicle. Bisexual flowers having Androecium and Gynoecium both. Zygomorphic, you know the symmetry where only in one plane you will get the equal half. Bracteate, sometimes bracts are present, sometimes bracts are absent. Pentamerous, multiples of 5. Hypogynous, ovary is situated superiorly. Then complete flower having all the words. Calyx 5. Here it should be gamosepalous condition. Gamosepalous condition. Imbricate or valvate aestivation. Hope you remember what is imbricate aestivation, where one sepal is completely inside, one sepal is completely outside, other three sepals are overlapping. That is imbricate aestivation. Okay. Corolla 5. That means petals are 5. Papilionaceous, this is very important, that is why the name Papilionoidae, where we observe one standard petal, two wing petals and a fused keel petal. Okay, this is how we observe the arrangement of corolla, that we call it as papilionaceous corolla, butterfly wing like corolla. Okay. Now here they have given the description. Posterior standard petal, this is standard petal, two lateral wings and keel enclosing the pistil and stamen. So this part encloses the pistil and stamen. Here we observe a very unique type of aestivation, that is vexillary aestivation. Androecium 10, actually here we observe 9+1 arrangement. 9 stamens are fused and one stamen is separate. So it is called diadelphous condition. Anther dithecus, that means two lobes are present. Intrors means it is inward. Gynoecium monocarpellary, single carpel is present. Unilocular with many ovules. Single style, ovary superior, marginal placentation. In one way we can say there is only one carpel. If you open the mature fruit, you observe two sutures, one side suture, another side suture. On one suture, the ovules after fertilization develop into seeds. They are arranged on the margin. So we call it as marginal placentation. Then pollination, cross pollination, then pollination of some plants with the help of insects. Fruit is a legume, that is very important family character. Then seeds, one to many and non-endospermic, in the sense endosperm is completely consumed at the time of development of embryo. Now this is the floral formula and floral diagram. Here you can see the outermost one is sepal. All the sepals are fused here. So it is gamosepalous condition. Petals are free, but one posterior large one, we call it a standard petal. Then wing petals and a fused keel petal. There are 9 stamens, they are all fused, and one separate, diadelphous condition, monocarpellary, unilocular, many ovules on marginal placentation. That is how we describe the ovary. And this is the floral formula. Zygomorphic flower, only in one plane you will get the equal half. Bisexual, then calyx 5, they are all fused, that is why shown in the bracket. Corolla 1 plus 2 plus 2, and the keel petals are fused, so shown in the bracket. 9 stamens are fused, that is why 9+1 arrangement. Then gynoecium, superior ovary, and it is single carpel. Okay, so this is about the Fabaceae description. Now these are the economic importance. Just look at all these plants and the flower. So this is gram, what we call it as, we use it in chana masala. Then arhar, and this is sem, here moong and groundnut, soya bean, all these are the edible one, right? So they can be used as a grams. Millets, like that. So the next one, next family, that is Asteraceae or Compositae. Very, very important family, because here you will study some more important terminologies. Asteraceae, aster, something related to sun, right? Asteraceae means here flowers, they resembles the structure of sun. That means their ray florets are radiating. Compositae, it's the old name. So sunflower family, that is the very common name used. Largest family distributed throughout the world. This is important. Largest family. Annual herbs. There are some examples here. Helianthus, Tagetes, Dahlia. I will show those pictures later. This is sunflower. This is marigold. This is we can say Dahlia. Roots, taproot system. But in Dahlia, fasciculated roots, fibrous roots are present. Fasciculated roots means again it is modified for storage of food. Stem usually herbaceous, weak stemmed, erect, much branched, solid, sometimes with milky latex. In Helianthus, tuberous stem stores the food. So these are some of the exceptions. Leaves usually alternate but occasionally opposite. So I hope at this point of time you may not need the description of even simple terms. I only go with the very unique and rarely appear technical terms for the description. Otherwise we go with the characters. So alternate and all those things you know. Sometimes it is opposite in world. So these are the example. Exstipulate, stipules are absent. Then petiolate, petiole is present in the leaf. Then simple or compound venations, simple leaf or compound leaf, venation is reticulate. Inflorescence. Now the character of this family actually lies in inflorescence. So here we observe head inflorescence, or in other words it is also called capitulum, with involucre of bract. Involucre of bract means the bract is covering the entire inflorescence. So here head inflorescence appear like a flower, but it is inflorescence. That whole inflorescence is covered by leaf-like structure, that is involucral bract. Okay. Here we observe two types of florets. One is disc floret, another one is ray floret. Disc floret is situated in the middle, ray florets are arranged at the periphery. Okay. So here zygomorphic flowers, ligulate or ray florets, and actinomorphic tubular disc florets. Okay. Then the inflorescence ray florets are found towards the periphery. This is what I explained. Disc floret at the center, ray florets are at the periphery. Bracteate, bracts are present. Sessile actinomorphic flowers. That means there is no stalk for the flower. Okay, stalk of the flower is called pedicel and that is absent here. Then actinomorphic. Which flowers? Disc florets. Okay. Zygomorphic are ray florets. Epigynous, that means inferior ovary, and pentamerous. So the axis whorls are multiples of 5. When it comes to calyx, 5 modified into hairs or pappus. Here sepal is not evident, it is very much reduced, and appears like hairs, and that technical term used to explain that is pappus. Persistent, that means even after the fertilization, when seeds are produced, you observe this pappus connected with the seeds. Help in fruit dispersal. In the sense here, fruits are not fleshy, they are lightweight and small. This pappus like structure act as a parachute and help in dispersal of seeds. Corolla, there are 5 petals, gamopetalous condition, they are fused, tubular in disc florets but ligulate in ray florets. Ligulate means somewhat flattened. Okay. Aestivation is valvate. Androecium 5 stamens, absent in ray florets, very important. That means what? Ray floret is unisexual, it is not bisexual flower. Syngenaceous, anther lobes are fused laterally to form a filament. So filaments are free, anther lobes are fused, that is syngenaceous condition. Epipetalous, that means stamens are originating from the petal. Anthers dithecous, this we know. Then tube-like structures around the style. Anthers intrors towards the inside. Dithecous, dehiscence is longitudinal. These are the common terms. Gynoecium, again it is bicarpellary, that means 2 carpels are present, they are fused, syncarpous condition. Unilocular, single locule, superior ovary, style long, stigma bifid. Stigma bifid means like this, bifid stigma. Okay. Then single ovule, basal placentation, that is the description of ovary. Pollination is mostly by insects. Then fruit, it is single seeded, Sepal. Then seeds are dicotyledonous and non-endospermic. Endosperm is completely consumed during the development of embryo. And this is the floral formula and floral diagram. This is important. Just observe. Don't get confused why it has 2 floral formula and floral diagram. As I said earlier, the inflorescence consists of 2 types of flowers. One is a disc floret, another one is ray floret. The one diagram is representing ray floret, another one is representing disc floret. In the case of disc floret, the outer dotted lines are represented by pappus and inner one is corolla. They are fused, so gamopetalous condition. Then Androecium is originating from the petal, so it is epipetalous condition, and Gynoecium bicarpellary syncarpous. So here it is given. Ray floret, here also we observe pappus. In both the case you observe one outermost structure, this is the bract. So the flowers are bracteate. Then pappus. Then here comes the corolla. So here you can see it is not complete. So this is the ray floret. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 petals are there, they are fused. Gamopetalous condition. And Androecium is absent. So it is a unisexual flower. Gynoecium bicarpellary syncarpous. Let us go with the examples. It will be very helpful when we look at the different types of plants. That gives the actual idea of all the characters. Helianthus anus, we all know, that is sunflower. Here you can see the outermost one is ray floret, the central one is disc floret. And just observe the plant body, it is full of hairs, glabrous you can say in technical term. And this is Carthamus, it's also called safflower oil, this is the plant. Then Eclipta alba, these are some of the examples given here. Medicinal plant, and this is Calendula officinalis, again one more medicinal plant. This is chrysanthemum. Then Lotuca sativa, this you can see, this is not different. The same plant when it completely matures then produces the flower like this. This you know, Letuca, lettuce, a vegetable. Okay, chrysanthemum we all know, ornamental plant. Again, Ciborium intybus. Okay, this is one more economically important plant. Parthenium hysterophorus. This plant got introduced to India at the time of Britishers. While they are transporting wheat from other country, the seeds of the wheat got contaminated with this Parthenium, and nowadays you can observe this plant in many places and acting as a weed. Okay, a serious problem in the plantation. Okay, Parthenium grass. Carrot grass is also one more name for that. And this is Tagetes, marigold. Okay, ornamental flower. So that is about the family Asteraceae. The next one, that is Poaceae or Graminae. The common name is grass family. So distribution, wherever you go, you observe the Poaceae members. That means grass is very common in all the places. So general description, family of cereals, ubiquitous in occurrence, largest monocot family. Ubiquitous means in most of the places you observe this plant. Very common examples, we take paddy, wheat, these are the examples. Okay. Then habit, annual or perennial herbs. Most of them are annuals, they complete their life cycle in the one single year. Then root, fibrous root system. Here there is a slight change. Till here we studied all the members, they have taproot system, but here we observe fibrous root system. What is fibrous root system actually? Plant in the initial stage of growth produces roots from the radicle, but radicle is short-lived and replaced by the roots developing from lower nodal region of the plant. So in fibrous root system, the roots are originated at the base of the stem, and here there is no difference between primary root, secondary root and tertiary root. Okay, they are all like hair-like structures. Then stilt root in maize. Stilt root means they have well-developed root system, but the height of the plant cannot be supported with those well-developed root system. So what they will do, the upper nodal regions, 4 to 5 nodal regions above the ground, it produces roots. Those roots, they reach the soil and gives the support. In simple words, I can draw one diagram here. This is the upper part of the maize. So the lower part, here it has well developed root system. Here these part, they produces the root like this. Okay, this we call it as stilt root in maize, zower and sugarcane. These are the examples. Stem, grass have hollow stem at internodes. Stem is jointed, called culm. Then leaves are narrow alternate leaf base. Then you observe sheathing leaf base. Then parallel venation. Then there are some other character like they contain silica and hence the leaves are hard. The very important character, that is parallel venation. Second thing, base of the leaf, here it broaden and covers the stem, and that we call it as sheathing leaf base, a unique character of the family Poaceae. Then inflorescence is spike. There are different types. General one you can remember, that is spike. Flowers, spike in the sense, here also the younger flower are at the tip, older flower are at the base, and inflorescence shows many branches. Flowers are sessile. Sessile in the sense there is no pedicel, directly it attached to peduncle. Bracteate, that means leaf-like structures are present at the base of the flower. Bisexual, Androecium, Gynoecium both are present. Unisexual in maize. There are some exceptions where you observe the unisexual flowers also. Zygomorphic flowers, that means you can cut the flower in only one plane, you will get the equal half. Then sterile bracts called glooms. Later I will show these glooms in the figure. Then they are present sessile, bracteate, bisexual, unisexual in maize. So these are the characters. Now this is very important. Perianth. What is perianth actually? When there is no difference between sepal and petal, at that time we use the term perianth. Okay, so here flowers are not so attractive. The reason is most of the Poacean members, they produce a type of pollen grains. They are very lightweight. Okay, and the pollination is usually by winds. So there is no need of attracting the insect by producing a large shape of petals or colorful petals or providing nectars. All these characters are very less in the case of members of the family Poaceae. Highly reduced, 2 in number, reduced to pinhead like laudicules. Here perianth we call it as laudicules. In bamboo 3 are present. This is the exception. Androecium usually 3 but sometimes 6. Example is oryza. Filament long, anthers versatile. Versatile means the filament is like this. Sorry, stamen is like this. Here in the filament attaches to the middle of the anther lobe like this. Okay, versatile. Then dithecus, dehiscence longitudinal. Like this it dehisces. Gynoecium, monocarpellary, single carpel is present. Then unilocular, only one chamber, one locule, ovary superior, style long, stigma 2 and feathery. Why it is feathery? Because when it is feathery, it can easily trap the lightweight pollen grains carried by the wind. Then pollination, usually cross pollination. Anemophily favored by protandry. Anemophily means wind pollination. Favored by protandry means here pollen grains they mature first. That means they most of the time avoid self pollination and encourage the cross pollination. Fruit single seeded caryopsis, seeds monocotyledonous, endospermic. So these are the general characters. Now let us move on to floral formula and floral diagram. This is very important slide. Just observe, here some examples are given: rice, wheat, barley, oat, maize, sugarcane, bamboo, millet. These are the examples. And here you can see the floral formula. Now this represents the floral axis, upper empty gloom and lower empty gloom. You know what is gloom? Actually it is a perianth. Then these are the plia. Plia means thin papery like structures. Inside you observe stamens. There are 6 stamens. Then gynoecium at the center, monocarpellary, unilocular, single ovule at the base of the placentation. So this is the floral formula: bracteate, zygomorphic, bisexual, perianth 2, laudicules, Androecium 3+ through Gynoecium 1. Okay, here you can see the different parts of the flower of Poacean members. It is beautifully separated and displayed for better understanding. The last family, that is Solanaceae. When the term comes Solanaceae, we remember the plants like tomato, brinjal, then datura, potato. These are the plants, they come under the family Solanaceae. So this family is given in NCERT textbook, but it is not mentioned in NEET syllabus. But we will study this family for better understanding. So it's a large family commonly called as potato family. It is widely distributed in tropics, subtropic, even in temperate zones. That means in cold countries also you observe some of the plants. Then habit, plants mostly herbs, shrubs and rarely small trees. Stem herbaceous, rarely woody, aerial, erect, cylindrical, branched, solid, hollow. Then hairy, glabrous. Underground stem, example is potato. See, all these are the common words. I'm not going to in detail of those things. Leaves alternate, that means alternate leaves are present. Simple, rarely pinnately compound and exstipulate. Venation is reticulate because it is dicot. Floral characters, solitary cyme, then axillary or cymose as in solanum. Solanum is one genus. Then flubber, bisexual, actinomorphic. Calyx, sepals 5, united, persistent, valvate aestivation. This character is very, very important. Persistent calyx, what it represents? Actually, after fertilization, accessory whorls, they wither off. But here in this case of Solanaceae members, this calyx grow along with the ovary, and after the development of fruit, you can see the persistent calyx on the fruit. Okay, so this is one important character. Corolla, petals 5, united, valvate aestivation. Androecium, stamens 5, epipetalous condition. That means here you can say pentamerous condition because sepal 5, petal 5, androecium 5. Then gynoecium, here gynoecium is bicarpellary. Then syncarpous, ovary superior. There is one important character here. If you look at the calyx, corolla, stamen, gynoecium, then fruit, then ovary. Just observe the floral diagram. They have shown it with one mark. What it represents actually, obliquely placed ovary. That means floral axis is not perpendicular to the main stem. It is slightly twisted. So we show the floral diagram with one cross arrow mark. Okay, that represents the obliquely placed ovary. Fruits are berry and seed. Many seeds are present. If you cut open the brinjal, you can see hundreds of seeds. They are endospermous. That means endosperm is retained even after the development of embryo. So these are the examples. Tomato, here you can see a brinjal. This is potato plant. Chili, belladonna, and this is ashwagandha. Tobacco and petunia. Petunia is a very well-known garden plant. So with this, we completed the topic morphology of flowering plants. I hope this video will help you to understand all the technical terms which is related to morphology of plants. Thank you.